When you're in your comfort zone, nothing amazing happens. Nothing great can happen. You stay the same. We all know if nothing changes, nothing changes.
And especially in today's society, everyone's all about the likes, all about the comments. One comment in the wrong direction can set up your whole mood.
There is no perfect time. Like, you have to become the person who just does stuff.
Just start. Like JP said, just start. That's it. And you're going to learn from your failures.
You might not think you're addicted, but what if the thing holding you back is the thing that you think is normal? You've normalized it. I'm talking about validation, distractions, your comfort. What if that's the addiction?
And when most people think about addiction or picture it, they think about drugs or alcohol. Or what if you're addicted to overthinking? What if you're addicted to staying light? Or what if you're addicted to being relevant?
And while you're watching, comment that one habit that you think could be holding you back.
Welcome to the best flipping show on YouTube. And I'm talking about the Unplug Podcast, baby.
Episode 31.
31.
We are back in the building.
Let's go. And guys, if you're joining us for the first time, we're all about living life on your own terms and unplugging from the matrix.
We are for the entrepreneurs, the dreamers.
Say it again.
The believers.
The what?
Those that are ready to forge their own path and start living the life they want to.
Let's go. Now, getting straight into it, guys. Please, actually, before that, you guys are always doing something. There's been a long time I've not picked this up on them.
I know. You've been all right lately.
I've been all right, but the sermon must come back. The sermon must come back. John, what are they not
Freeman,
doing?
They're not liking.
They're not what?
They're not sharing.
They're not what?
They're not subscribing.
How dare you?
We are on the road to 500 subscribers, guys. 500. I think we're at 340 something. But we're not going to be happy until we hit 500. Then we're going to get greedy again and want to go 1,000.
There we go.
So, yes.
Please, people. Like, I don't like being like this, guys. I'm a nice guy. So, guys, as always, you've been loving the Would You Rathers. And please comment the type of Would You Rathers that you want. I'm always reading them out. So, on today's episode, would you rather have £10 million but never be able to start your own business, or have the ability to turn any business idea into a guaranteed success but never earn more than 50k a year? You can only have up to 2 businesses at a time.
50k is not enough, bro.
I know.
I can't do nothing. I got to go with the 10 mil.
10 mil.
Yeah.
Lose the entrepreneurship badge.
See, that's what
Lose
I'm fighting
that honor.
with. But I don't like the idea of being capped. The whole point for me personally in being an entrepreneur is being able to, not that it's all about money, but I don't want to be restricted. I feel like entrepreneurship is about, creating your life, living life on your own terms. And the minute I'm now restricted, it doesn't feel like entrepreneurship because I'm capped. But I can't, 50k.
What about if it was you're making 10 mil a year in a job? So, like, let's put it like this now. Would you rather make 10 mil a year in a job or 50k a year max in a business? If I spend it like that.
Yeah, see, that's a difficult one. I'm sitting on the fence. I'm not doing a job thing anymore.
I know.
Had to leave that behind. I think for me, it's bigger than money. Like, it's bigger than money. I suppose with the 50k, if I can live how I want to live and somehow manage to put all my expenses in 50k, then I'd have to go with that option then. You?
I'd probably say, for the first kind of original question, I'd say the 10 mil, right? Because obviously it's 10 mil. 50k isn't enough, not to sound too greedy. But if it was to be 10 mil in a job or 50k a year in a business, I'd probably say in the business, because that aspect of freedom, right? Like you still don't have your own time. There are people who are making 8 figures, 7 figures easy in jobs, like CEO of like big conglomerates, right? But they don't own their time. Like really, if they call a board meeting at midnight, you're there. Like, what's that movie that you told me about? It's called Margin Calls.
Boiler Room.
No, it's Boiler Room. That was one. But another, I don't know if you watched, it's called Margin Calls.
Okay,
but it's quite similar to Margin Calls. But it's basically, I think it's based off a true story, but don't quote me. But it's basically like a massive hedge fund financial company. And
Money Balls. Is that the one?
No, it's definitely called margin call.
Okay.
Because it's basically if there's anyone that trades like when you're close to your margin,
Okay.
right? Like when you're leveraging, like they do a margin call, say like, hey, by the way, like you're leveraging too much, you're gonna go into negative type thing.
Yeah.
So basically, there was like a business, and I'll never forget like the CEO, like it was like 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and they just called him into this boardroom meeting, like the company's gonna go bust. What's gonna happen? And I'm just thinking to myself, what type of company? How much are you paying me? Like, I can leave my house at 3 a.m. and I'm not like a doctor on call. And I have to just be summoned. But that was just a relevant sort of like segue. But yeah, but guys, please let us know in the comments, what would you rather? 10 mil or 50K in a business, right? And you're a true entrepreneur. Let us know.
Cool. All right, guys. There are addictions that don't look like addictions. Why? Because they wear a mask. And the first addiction I'm going to call out is comfort. Some of you might call it rest, but we call it's running. When you're in your comfort zone, nothing amazing happens. Nothing great can happen. You stay the same. And we all know if nothing changes, nothing changes.
100%. And the next distraction I want to talk about is validation. And especially in today's society, everyone's all about the likes, all about the comments. One comment in the wrong direction can set up your whole mood. And this is what we want to talk about and get involved in.
The third one is distraction. You're busy, but are you productive? The things you're doing, are they actually moving the needle? Are they getting you closer to your end goal?
And the next one is overthinking. You're addicted to safety, control, and that is the main reason why you never start. Hash out a plan and start working actively on it.
Number 5, you're a people pleaser. Every yes you give to someone is a no to your potential. You saying yes to people all the time takes away the time that you need to actually build and grow yourself.
And bro, do you know what's so crazy? How we like to hold hostage the very habits which are keeping us back, right? Whether it's validation, whether it's distractions, whether it's overthinking. Oh, I just want to be, considerate of everyone else. I don't like to put myself forward. I'm a very, self-sacrificing individual, which are all, again, I feel like a broken record, which are all things which are stopping us from being the highest versions of ourselves, right?
And just to give some context to this episode, what would you say was the biggest distraction holding you back?
I definitely think it was validation. And I spoke about this in some earlier episodes whereby, especially in my, social media content journey, I was very, very, very surface level. I was thinking, what about my colleagues? What about my boss? Mind you, I've left my job now, right? And I was still concerning myself. I was still thinking about what other people would think. I wasn't putting content which fully reflected my personality, my character, what I wanted to do. And then naturally, I was feeling demotivated and flat because I wasn't getting, the metrics that I needed, whether it be, the conversion, whether it be the business, whether it be the likes, the sales, wherever it may be. I wasn't getting it. And it all tied down to me thinking that I had to feel validated. I had to put out content. I had to put out material that other people wanted. Whereas I was showing my own journey, my own life, my own upbringing, what I wanted to push out. And once I really understood that, validation doesn't matter. And you were, like I always say, you were brought into this world by yourself and you will leave this world by yourself, right? Then I really started to see some true metrics, right? Then I really started to see results when I stopped thinking about what people cared about me and started thinking about what I care, right? And that was the biggest mindset shift for me, honestly. But what about you, bro?
I think mine, and sometimes still is, because, to keep it real, despite us saying some of these things, we're not perfect.
Of course.
I think the key is to identify what the issue is or what the addiction is and just keep working on it daily. And I think for me, one of my biggest addictions is overthinking and over planning. And I think that's because I'm an analytical person. So I always like to feel I've got enough information to then make the move. Like if I can just keep consuming information, then maybe I'll feel confident enough, reassured enough to then actually go on and do the thing. But I've realized that the only way you learn is by actually doing. 100%. That's what builds up the momentum. That's what builds up the confidence. You're not going to see the move 10 steps ahead of you if you're still in the same place.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like you almost have to make that step, even if you don't feel ready, because it's that kind of jumping that's going to force you to make it work, despite you not feeling like you know everything. And yeah, just the overthinking, over planning, and you kind of get caught in a bit of a spiral because you just want to keep learning and learning and learning and learning. Before you know it, a month's gone by, 2 months have gone by, 3 months, and you ain't done anything. I know there's a lot of people who can probably relate to that, where you're just consuming. There's so much information now, like the internet, ChatGPT, but you have to get to a place where, all right, I've got enough information,
Yeah.
enough to make that move, let me go. And I think the moment I was able to just get enough information, make that step, make that jump, then everything kind of changed for me.
Okay. Now, obviously, like you said, there's a lot of our audience right now who are in this sort of, I always call it window shopping phase, right? And where is the fine line of, obviously you need to seek information, you need to gather information, you need to do your market research, but where's the fine line of doing that to now information paralysis where you're not doing anything now? Like for you personally, I know obviously like you said, it's still something that, still often happens because you're an analytical person. But for those who are equally analytical, like they're in their job right now, they've got a business that they want to start, they've got a new venture they want to start, but I'm thinking, oh, do I need to save up X amount? Do I need to make sure I have X amount of followers? Like, where is the fine line of market research, data collection to now the action? No.
Very good question. I think you just got to start. Like, I feel like because you could go away and learn something, and then when you actually get into what you're doing, it's completely different. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like, yeah, there's guidelines, but you're ultimately never going to learn how to do that thing until you start. You could, start something, and then all of a sudden, a month's gone by, 2 months gone by, 3 months gone by. Whereas if you did just start, you would have made more progress. So I almost feel like use your progress as the learning that you really need, that you're never really going to get from reading a book, from asking ChatGPT, from going on the internet, from maybe even asking someone. So I say that to say this, once you got your idea, just go. Just go. What do I need to start? Break it down into phases. Phase 1, get a little bit of research. Phase 2, you just got to execute. I'm learning. You can have the best idea going, bro, but if you don't execute and you don't implement, then nothing's going to change.
But then again, bro, like there are still people out there who say like, you can't just tell me to start. Like, like I am equally like fairly analytical as well, but like at the same time, you can't just tell me start. I need a milestone. I need to like have something significant to say, all right, cool. Freeman, you can take this plunge. Freeman, you can take this leap to actually start. But some people might not actually understand the gravity. So like, what is this actually costing people?
I feel like it's costing a delay of your greatness. Like the longer you prolong you're delaying, like we don't have unlimited time. So it's I almost feel, you have to act now. You have to act fast because you're delaying your dreams. You're delaying starting that business. You may, and I feel like that can filter into other areas of your life. And obviously we're talking about business now, but if you now become someone who's skeptical and now you want all your ducks to line up before you actually start making moves, that will filter into all other areas of your life. You now become that person who waits for the perfect moment for everything. And like we know, there is no perfect moment.
Never.
Never. I'm sure we're both waiting for that perfect moment in our lives to do certain things, whether it be business, personal, relationship, whatever it may be. There is no perfect time. Like you have to become the person who just does stuff. You don't wait. Yeah, I'm ready now. When do you ever feel, yeah, I'm ready to do this? You don't ever feel like that, bro. So you have to start, and then that kind of forces you to be ready.
Guys, I really hope you're appreciating that because that is actually fact that I don't think there's ever been anything in my life that I felt naturally ready for. Like we always say a lot, like the person you are right now, this Freeman 1.0, now growing into Freeman 2.0, he doesn't exist. He hasn't been born yet. He hasn't been created. And similarly, if you are a mother for the first time, if you are a father for the first time, or if you're going from college to university, like you don't have that experience. You are simply starting. And I think similarly as well, if we take that in to like now when we're going into like, business and entrepreneurship, like that version of you hasn't created. So there's going to be an element of risk. There's going to be an element of the unknown. And there's going to be a form of change that we're not natural with. So just start, like John said. I feel like, that's an excellent gem, guys. So hopefully you guys can take that in. But as you guys know, we're all about some practical steps, right?
We are indeed.
So give the people them.
So my first practical step when we're talking about your addictions, I want you to name it. I want you can't change what you don't know. So we're going to name what it is we feel we need to change. You have to call it out. What is the thing slowing me down? Or almost like a wall. There's a brick wall in front of you. Like we're going to call that brick wall. We need to identify it because if we don't identify it, we don't call it out, we don't know what we need to knock down. And we need to knock down this brick wall to move forward.
100%. And I feel like after we name it, Now we need to replace it naturally, right? We can't just have a void within our life. So I know for me, I was very, very, very guilty of like sleeping with my phone, right? That was a big distraction, just sleeping with my phone, just like, overthinking my next day and etc. But now what I've replaced that with is reading. I was trying to show you I'm getting back into my reading bag. I know I've been slacking, but reading, again, I've got a little, I know I should probably get a Kindle, but I've got my little oil lamp. I got my little oil lamp, little fire hazard. And just reading at night. But that's replacing addiction that I had, right? That's replacing the distraction that I had. Where I'm just reading, and rather than fueling my mind before I go to sleep, which is probably the most like precious moment of my time where I'm like in deep thought in my subconscious, I'm now filling that with positive words. I'm filling that with positive like thinking from books and history and etc. But like I definitely think replacing your distraction/addiction with something more healthy, something more positive, something more conducive can massively support you in being the next version and highest version of yourself.
Yeah. So the third thing is make it public. Get yourself an accountability partner, because the stuff we hide is the stuff that owns us. When you have an accountability partner, someone who you value their opinion, someone who you trust, they almost keep you to stay on track. You know what I mean? You don't want to let yourself down. You also don't want to let them down. And I think that helped me. When what you're trying to achieve is bigger than you and you share it with others, it just makes you kind of water what it is you want to achieve.
100%. And guys, even like looking at our last episode about choosing your circle wisely as well, you can go a step further and now just not have an accountability partner, but you have an accountability group, right? You have an accountability group of brothers, sisters, family members, cousins, whoever it may be, of like-minded individuals who are just now, all of you are a collective now working towards this positive goal of being the next version, the highest versions of yourself.
Same mindset, same goals, same elevation mode.
Literally.
We're all here to push each other, encourage each other, share ideas, and all help each other get to the next level.
100%. And guys, please, again, pause this video and drop a plug emoji on the comment section and let us know what you're going to unplug right now that's holding you back and stopping you from being the highest version of yourself.
Guys, this is part of the episode called Plug Bites. This is where myself and Freeman share a quote, something we read, something we watched, something we liked, and we try and get on topic. Obviously, today's topic being addiction. So I will go first. So my plug bite reads, "The comfort you're addicted to is the cage you built for yourself. If you want freedom, discomfort is the rent."
Perfect.
So the rent is discomfort. The rent is feeling uncomfortable. The rent is, just feeling like an imposter. We speak about it a lot of the time. Like these are natural feelings, guys. You're not going to feel like you're ready. You are almost reincarnating yourself to be something that you're not and to being someone who you're not. And that is going to be uncomfortable. And it's about knowing that and being happy with that and just accepting it and just knowing this is part of the journey.
And I really resonate with that, my bro. And I feel like adding to mine, and I've said this on a previous episode, but I just feel like it just hits home with today's episode. And it says, instead of focusing on how difficult the journey will be, think about how great your story will be. So adding on all the different distractions, all the different addictions, overthinking, overanalyzing, validation, just start. Like JP said, just start. That's it. And you're going to learn from your failures. Like, you need to fail.
It's the only way to learn.
And we always say, like, you're never going to get the bullseye. So even just thinking about this logically, right? To get to where you need to be, you need to fail. And by failing, you learn. And by learning, you achieve where you need to be. So it's all part of the cycle. And if you can embrace failure, if you can endure failure, then you're by no means... then there's no reason at all why you shouldn't... You're unstoppable.
You're unstoppable.
You're unstoppable. So, like John says, take it by the scruff of the neck, right?
Dust yourself off.
Dust yourself off.
And keep going.
And keep going, man. Whew.
Yeah, I like that.
But guys, I really hope you enjoyed today's episodes, all about the hidden distractions, which we think of the norm, which are generally holding you back. So guys, please always make sure that you're liking,
sharing,
subscribing, tell a friend to tell a friend, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell his mistress.
Jeez.
And as always, guys, love, love, love.
Elevate.